So it's starting to look like September 24th was maybe a bottom in everything. Um, there's little doubt in my mind anyway that this was an intermediate cycle low in the stock market. Let me convert this to the weekly chart. All right, so last week still a bit of a chance anyway that this could continue to roll over and give us a deeper intermediate cycle low. You can see a price tested that 10-week moving average and closed back below it. But this week we've got strong follow through back above that 10-week moving average. So I just don't see anything here at this point anyway to convince me that this is just a bounce in an ongoing intermediate cycle that still has further down to go. I mean, this is already a really long intermediate cycle as it is. We've got a weekly swing. Last week, price moved above the high of the week before. And then, like I said, there was a chance that it could continue to roll over. This reversal into the close on Friday did close back below the 10-week moving average, but this week's kind of blown that theory right out of the water. And we've got a strong follow through and a close well above that 10-week moving average. I have also noted the semis were leading again as they should, and they made a higher high this week. Just another confirmation for me anyway that this was a final intermediate cycle low in the stock market. And I think that as of after seeing Friday's action, I have to think that gold also bottomed basically on the same day that stocks did, and this just so happened to be almost the exact day that the dollar topped. So if you've watched some of my previous videos, you'll know I was kind of hoping that we would at least come down and test this 1800 level. And until Friday, that was still on the table. We got a big move down on, was it Tuesday here, I guess, and then a very weak bounce into Thursday. So as of Thursday, everything was still on track for potential for one more move down that would break this and take us down to 1800 or 1750. But that kind of just got blown out of the water on Friday when the dollar sliced right through the 50-day moving average, and now this just looks like gold is doing the same thing that the stock market. Although the stock market has been a little bit stronger, as I said, the semis are already making new all-time highs. Gold obviously has ways to go to do that, but on Friday, gold sliced right through this intermediate trend line, and that really shouldn't happen if we're going to get another leg down that makes a lower low. So at this point, it looks to me like virtually everything bottomed on the 24th of September, and the dollar topped. I believe it was one day later. Yeah, that is correct. The dollar topped on right here on September 25th. Stocks and gold, silver, looks like everything bottomed when the dollar topped. And so I've kind of given up on expecting the dollar to break that intermediate trend line at this point. And I think I've, after seeing this strong break of the trend line on Friday, I think I've given up on looking for gold to make a lower low below this September 24th low here at about 1850. I think I've just given up on that, on waiting any longer for that. This just, it looks to me like Gold is just following stocks and has completed an intermediate cycle low as well. Another point to look at here is the RSI. I've noted this before that during the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle, RSI tends to bounce pretty quickly from oversold conditions, and then kind of it tends to embed for long periods of time, or gets heavily overbought during the advancing phase of an intermediate cycle. So another potential bell ringing right here when we just couldn't get any follow through on this big down day, and price bounced very quickly from the oversold um, condition here, and now it's starting to act like it wants to embed in the overbought condition. Now, I will say, we are definitely at some point we're going to have some volatility here. Just because we broke this trend line today doesn't mean that we're just gold or stocks, either one, are just going to go straight up. At some point, the dollar has to bounce and give us the advancing phase of a new daily cycle, and I would anticipate that's going to cause some at least some backing and filling in both stocks and the metals market. But at this point, it seems unlikely to me that gold is going to come back down and break this low and move over to the dollar. And also, unlikely to me that the dollar, once it does find its daily cycle low, is going to be able to come back up and move back above this high right here. So it looks to me like um, the dollar has just um, the central banks have just printed enough money to stop the intermediate rally in the dollar. And you can see here it sliced right through the 50-day moving average yesterday, and that really shouldn't happen if we're in the advancing phase, or if we're still in the advancing phase of a new intermediate cycle. And again, you got this RSI is starting to embed in the oversold condition here, was not able to recover an overbought condition. Uh, so this is starting to look like we are now in the declining phase of the intermediate cycle. And again, I was expecting we would get a bounce. I was always expecting the bounce to uh, fail, a rollover, and left translate, but I was really expecting the bounce to go a little further before it did. I was looking for something around 96, maybe test this resistance zone here, or 97, or come a little closer to the 200-day moving average, which is up here around 97. But it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks at this point, it looks like the move down into the 3-year cycle low. I've always thought that we should have at least one more intermediate cycle down, and at this point, it looks like this bounce has topped in 3 weeks, and now we've got maybe as many as another 20 to 25 weeks uh, moving down before we find that final 3-year cycle low that's going to be due sometime in the spring or early summer of next year. So, just looks to me like we've probably got an intermediate bottom in everything at this point. Clearly, we do in the stock market. I mean, there's no question in my mind that was an intermediate cycle low. And I think we are probably resuming the bubble phase in stocks, and it'll be driven by um, this collapse into the 3-year cycle low in the dollar. But now I have to say I think gold probably also bottomed at the same time that the stock market did back here on September 24th, and it's just um, lagging a little bit, not quite as strong as the stock market rally. So more money is going into the bubble in stocks at the moment, but it looks to me like gold is starting to chase the stock market out of an intermediate cycle low as well. Um, the next confirmation will be a break back above this 50-day moving average, um, which I think is probably a good chance that's going to happen at some point next week. We're a little excessive on some short-term sentiment, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get some backing and filling next week. But um, at this point, I think I've given up on looking for a lower low in gold. I have certainly given up on looking for a lower low in the stock market, and it looks to me like gold is just following stocks.